Correct. I remember that.
If I was a ref, I know I would mess up all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that your job is easy, but when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? Like, you have seen players in our league try to like toughen up Caitlin. We call her CC. For even when I wasn't on her team, because she's like 22, 23 years.
The WNBA front office is probably having an absolute meltdown right about now. This woman did not hold back one single bit when it comes to exposing exactly how the referees have been treating Caitlin Clark. The sheer audacity of what she revealed should have every single basketball fan questioning everything they thought they knew about professional officiating.
Like, everyone's like, what is going on with the refs? And I'm like, I don't.
The Indiana Fever's resident enforcer dropped bombshell after bombshell about the league's so-called neutral referees. If you think Sophie was done stirring the pot after that $500 TikTok fine, you clearly don't know this woman at all. She just doubled down in the most spectacular way possible. If you're Team Clark and Team Sophie, smash that like button and drop Spicy Sophie in the comments, because this story is about to get absolutely wild. Let's start with the most recent drama. Sophie literally just got slapped with a $500 fine for posting a TikTok where she lip-synced to a Sabrina Carpenter song, calling the ref stupid, slow, and useless.
Fine for that.
Yeah, like $900,
Oh.
which like our fines are a joke. And you finding me $500 is not going to do.
Yeah, that was a bar. That's a shirt.
Hot girls
Fine.
like to be fined.
Finding me $500 won't do. That's sick.
And then I'll get fined for that, and then I'll get fined for this, and then the
But then put
fines
it on
can.
the
The fact that the WNBA actually spent time and resources to find someone over a 15-second social media video tells you everything you need to know about their priorities right now. Sophie's reaction to getting fined was absolutely priceless. Instead of backing down like most players would, she posted on social media laughing about it. She said the fine was funny to her and questioned whether the league has more important things to worry about.
Its referees can officiate TikToks too? Sophie Cunningham was just fined by the WNBA for posting this TikTok. Fined for posting a TikTok? That's the first time I've ever seen that. Obviously, it's not that simple. This comes off the heels of the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun playing each other for the last time before the All-Star weekend. If you watch the Fever and Sun games, then you would know there is always something going on with Sophie Cunningham and someone on the Connecticut Sun. But more specifically, JD Sheldon of the Connecticut Sun. Remember that brawl in June where multiple players ended up getting ejected from that game? Sophie Cunningham was fined $400 for her involvement in that scuffle. And now, she's getting fined $500 by the WNBA for posting that TikTok, which was a response to this situation right here. This is Sophie right here, setting a screen on the Suns defender, who ends up elbowing her and dropping her to the ground with the referee standing right there, with her eyes on the play, watching it all go down. And that same referee did not call a foul. And because of that, Sophie came out, posted this TikTok, and
That's honestly the most Sophie Cunningham response you could possibly imagine. The woman has clearly decided that $500 is a small price to pay for speaking the truth about these officials. But here's where things get absolutely insane. On her new podcast, Show Me Something, Sophie didn't just talk about the fine. She went full scorched earth on the entire officiating system. She revealed some truly shocking details about how differently the refs treat Clark compared to literally every other player in the league.
Caller, you like bugged out.
All
at
of them.
most everything.
Like, it's just like they're just so inconsistent. Like, that's my thing. Like, if you're on the other team and you're gonna be finding the shit out of me,
yeah.
cool. But let me do it to
Didn't
you.
let you, yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
want
Like,
consistency then.
yeah. Like I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And like, I get it to a certain extent. And like every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But
Right.
there's just more for her. So it's her second year. And like now being on her team and like seeing it, I'm like, what are people doing? Like, actually, it's just too much. Too much. The thing that I have the biggest issue about the female sides of refs is like they're so emotional. Like the guys, no, the NBA officials, like the NBA players mother those officials like no
Oh
other.
yeah.
Like I've worked broadcasts, I've been to games, I'm friends with these people. They mother them.
Yeah.
And the only person that I've ever seen able to
When she said that WNBA refs are too emotional and can't handle criticism like NBA officials can, she wasn't just throwing around random accusations. She was speaking from experience, as someone who has watched Clark get beaten up on the court while refs swallow their whistles game after game after game. Sophie pointed out that NBA players absolutely destroy referees verbally on a nightly basis. Those refs just take it as part of the job. But when WNBA players dare to question a call, suddenly the officials get their feelings hurt and start making it personal. That's exactly what we've been seeing with Clark all season long.
and it doesn't matter the gender
Yeah.
on our side, they are too emotionally invested and they can't take it. And I'm like, it's always been a thing. Like I've had so many coaches, trainers, everyone who's worked on both like the NBA and WNBA side, and they say that like we are more vulgar, discuss like.
Sophie calling them out for being emotionally invested instead of professional was probably the most accurate analysis of WNBA officiating anyone has given in years. The woman literally said, "Sentence appears to be cut off. Let me know if you want help finishing it."
The only one who publicly is a massive hitter on refs.
Yeah, dude.
But my thing is like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I am someone who says what everyone else is thinking or talking about, not just with the refs,
Did you post
but
that
with
after
Detroit,
after you guys lost?
with Cleveland. I want people to hear what I just said. I am the only one, but if you ask our league, they feel the same exact way.
The league feels the same way about the refs as you?
And Detroit.
The fact that she had to explain this basic concept to professional referees is honestly embarrassing for the entire league. Sophie wasn't finished destroying the officiating narrative. She also revealed that she's basically the only player in the league who publicly calls out refs. Here's the kicker though, privately, every single player feels the exact same way about the terrible officiating. So Sophie is basically taking all the heat for saying what the entire league is thinking. That takes some serious courage. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Sophie absolutely obliterated anyone who dares to suggest that Caitlin Clark isn't the face of the WNBA. She went completely off on people who argue against Clark being the face of the league and called them absolutely delusional. Sophie made it crystal clear that anyone still debating this topic is living in complete fantasy land.
Pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. Like, we have a lot of bad in our league.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as.
Honestly, the fact that this even needs to be discussed in 2025 is absolutely mind-boggling. Clark single-handedly transformed this entire league from relative obscurity to mainstream relevance in the span of one season. Sophie broke down exactly why the Clark debate is so ridiculous. She pointed out that without her, the league wouldn't be anywhere near where it is today in terms of viewership, attendance, and overall cultural impact.
It just feels like people are jealous of this new little wave of...
They are, but I
rookies.
just hate that because, like, this is what we've always wanted as a league. So, like, who cares who gets the credit? And if you're smart, you're making money off of them.
Yeah.
Like, you are literally making money from.
She's absolutely right, because we've seen what happens when Clark gets injured. Ticket prices plummet by 40 to 70%. TV ratings drop by over 50%. Suddenly, nobody cares about the games anymore. That proves that while the WNBA has other talented players, none of them move the needle like Clark does. Sophie calling out the haters was long overdue. The woman literally said, "Again, sentence appears unfinished. Happy to help wrap it up if you'd like."
It is a cult following. I'm not kidding.
No, it's wild.
Like, it
the
is
airport today,
insane.
it was like 22 everywhere.
Anywhere you go, like, it is a home game wherever we play. Like,
No
she
way.
security with her 24/7. Like, people are outrageous. Like,
Wow.
think of the most famous person that you know or have met,
Mhm.
times it by 10, 20. It's
Yeah.
insane.
I mean, she had like A-list celebs in Iowa City, Iowa
Dude.
to watch.
When she said that people are outrageous about Clark and that she needs security 24/7, she wasn't exaggerating. She was describing the reality of what it's like to be teammates with the most popular player in women's basketball history. Anyone who still wants to pretend that someone else deserves the face of the league title is living in complete denial. But Sophie's podcast revelations got even spicier when she addressed the Kelsey Plum situation. Oh boy, this is where things get really interesting. Plum decided to throw shade at Clark during the All-Star Game media session for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Sophie's take on that whole mess was exactly what you'd expect from someone who doesn't tolerate nonsense from anyone.
To chirp?
Why?
I don't know, dude.
Why?
I always feel like she's always being weird.
The thing is, she's super nice and she's really freaking good at basketball.
But she made the chirp was about how she didn't help plan the
Who
fucking
cares?
shirts.
Like, who
Yeah.
cares? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I just hate when, like, people do stuff to get, it's like clickbait.
For those who missed it, Plum basically tried to embarrass Clark.
You know, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
For those who missed it, Plum basically tried to embarrass Clark. You know, not to tattletale, but she said that 0 members of Team Clark were present for the players' meeting about wearing those "pay us what you owe us" shirts. It was such a petty and unnecessary comment that even Sabrina Ionescu, who was sitting right next to Plum, visibly cringed.
We were just, we had a very, that really needed to be.
The fact that Plum chose to throw Clark under the bus during what was supposed to be a unified moment for the league shows exactly the kind of jealousy and resentment that Sophie has been dealing with all season. Sophie's response to this drama was perfect. She basically pointed out that some players are clearly jealous of Clark's success and the attention she brings to the league. Instead of being grateful that Clark is making everyone more money through increased viewership and sponsorship deals, certain players would rather tear her down. That's honestly the most backwards thinking you could possibly have in a league that desperately needs every bit of mainstream attention it can get. The irony of Plum complaining about Clark not being at a meeting about getting paid more, when Clark is literally the reason the league is in a position to negotiate for higher salaries in the first place, is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Sophie's frustration with this kind of toxic behavior from other players was evident throughout her podcast discussion. Speaking of toxic behavior, Sophie also revealed some absolutely wild details about the level of physicality that refs allow against Clark compared to other players. This is where her podcast got really dark. She basically confirmed what we've all been seeing with our own eyes. There's a completely different standard for what constitutes a foul when it involves the league's biggest star. Sophie talked about how Clark gets full body checked, grabbed, eye poked, and generally assaulted on a nightly basis, while refs act like they're watching a completely different game.
And so I was like,
That
all
was when
right,
she got
like,
full body
dude, by
chested.
3 people.
late- yeah.
Like 2 people, they're like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, if that was anyone else, I would have been booted out of the game. I know that for sure. I'm a little sassy, but like, so are they.
Your leash is shorter though, because they know.
Literally. I don't even have a leash. I just have a freaking
When she said that if the same contact happened to anyone else, the player would be ejected immediately, she wasn't being dramatic. She was stating facts that anyone with working eyeballs can confirm by watching literally any Fever game. That's probably the most accurate description of Clark's treatment by officials that anyone has given. Sophie's willingness to call this out publicly, even after getting fined, shows exactly the kind of teammate every superstar needs. Sophie also revealed that the refs' inconsistency is the biggest problem. They'll let opposing players foul Clark all game long, but the second she shows any emotion or pushes back, suddenly the whistles come out and she gets technical fouls for literally defending herself. That's exactly what happened in that Connecticut Sun game, where Clark got eye-poked and then received the technical for pushing the player away. It's a sequence of events so absurd that it would be funny if it weren't actively hurting the league's biggest attraction.
playing Connecticut and like, there's just one thing after another. And like,
Did you all have a little beef before the game?
No.
There was none.
No. Like, oh, actually, the girl who I did do that to, she did chip my tooth. But I wasn't worried about it.
In a different game?
Yeah, the game before. So we played them all like 4 times. The first time we played them, and she didn't mean to do it, but like she chipped my tooth. There's a couple players on their team that are just do a little bit extra stuff, like just chippy talking. Like you're a professional athlete. Like that's what happens, right?
I feel like you see it more because
But here's where Sophie's story gets absolutely incredible. Defending Clark has literally transformed her entire career and made her one of the most popular players in the WNBA almost overnight. The numbers behind her viral moment are honestly staggering in the best possible way. Before that Connecticut Sun brawl, where Sophie delivered that legendary flagrant foul on the player who eye-poked Clark, she had fewer than 400,000 followers on TikTok. Within 3 days of standing up for her teammate, she gained over 800,000 new followers. Her social media value reportedly increased by over $1 million, according to marketing experts. That proves that fans absolutely love players who are willing to protect Clark from the targeting she faces every single game.
moment before in the WNBA.
Yeah, which is
they
crazy.
were like
that's not even insane. That's
hundreds of fan edits.
Dude, I'm not even saying. I went from I think like
Followers, yeah.
350,000 and like maybe 200,000 on TikTok before the fight, and then I had like 350 on 100,000 on Instagram over the night or over like a day and a half.
Sophie's jersey sales went completely insane after the fight. They were literally sold out for weeks. The woman became a trending topic on every social media platform. Suddenly, everyone was calling her the enforcer and buying merchandise with her name on it. All because she did what the referees refused to do, actually protect the league's most important player from dirty tactics. The fact that Sophie's willingness to take a $900 fine and an ejection for defending Clark resulted in $1 million boost to her personal brand shows exactly how much fans appreciate players who put team loyalty over personal consequences. It also proves that standing up for what's right can actually be incredibly profitable in the long run, especially when you're defending someone as beloved as Caitlin Clark.
Whole life to become a WNBA basketball player, and now people know me as WWE. Who knew that me like being my natural feisty, sassy self would put me where God wanted me?
So in a situation like that, does Caitlin come up to you after and say like, because the internet whole thing was, look at Sophie sticking up for Caitlyn. Like, this is dope.
But I was.
No, I know you were.
But in the locker room, I think she was like, finally,
Yeah.
you know, like finally someone else. I was like, dude, I got you. Like but I think that kind of had our team come together as a whole. And it's
Dude,
like, no, we gotta have
yes.
like, it was
Awesome.
yeah, no, it really was though. Like, I feel like everyone was like, you know, like we do have
17. The immediate effect on ticket prices was so dramatic that it looked like someone had pulled the plug on the entire event. Resale prices dropped 40% within hours of her announcement that she wouldn't be playing. This happened at an All-Star game that was specifically moved to Indianapolis because of Clark's popularity and drawing power. The woman has now missed 10 regular season games, plus the Commissioner's Cup final this season, due to various injuries. Every single time she's out of the lineup, the same pattern repeats itself. Attendance drops, TV ratings plummet, and suddenly the WNBA remembers exactly how much they depend on one 23-year-old second-year player for their entire business model. That makes the targeting she faces from both opposing players and inconsistent officiating even more infuriating. Sophie's point about refs not protecting the star player becomes even more relevant when you consider that Clark had never missed a game in her entire college or professional career before this season. Now she's dealing with injury after injury while officials continue to let players take cheap shots at her with minimal consequences. The league is literally watching their golden goose get beaten up while they count the money she's bringing in through increased revenue streams. What makes Sophie's podcast even more explosive is a revelation about how WNBA locker rooms are apparently more wild and vulgar than NBA locker rooms, according to coaches and staff who have worked in both leagues.
a pretty good injury. Hopefully she's back soon.
Do we know when she's
Coming back?
what is
Honestly,
it?
no.
Groin?
Yeah. Yeah. It is a groin. But it's such like a weird injury because she doesn't really like she's not in pain all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then like
Yeah.
when you do hurt it, it's like, okay, you're out for another. So I think they're trying to be like extra cautious so she doesn't kind of have those little setbacks.
If we're trying to make a playoff run, I think that's the correct
Dude,
thing.
exactly. Like if we can continue to win without her, like
Also,
well, of course we want her to play though. Like I want her to
No.
play. You know what I
So you
mean?
can
But
take a
like
break.
if we can be successful without her, give her a
Yeah.
little bit more break, I think that's gonna be good.
she didn't play an All-Star though.
She didn't. She was an all-star. Duh.
Of course. Was she like on the sideline with them?
Yeah, they call her
Description of female players being more intense and competitive than their male counterparts completely destroys the narrative that women's basketball is somehow softer or less physical than men's basketball. Sophie said that everyone who has worked on both sides tells her that WNBA players are more vulgar and more wild than NBA players. That honestly explains a lot about why the officiating has been so inconsistent this season. Refs are clearly not prepared for the level of intensity and competitiveness that these women bring to every single game. If officials can't handle players expressing frustration in the heat of competition, maybe they shouldn't be officiating professional basketball games in the first place. The fact that Sophie is basically the only player willing to publicly call out refs, while privately every player in the league feels the same way, shows how much fear and intimidation the officiating crew has created. Sophie's willingness to be the voice for frustrated players across the entire league makes her even more valuable than just being Clark's personal bodyguard on the court. But perhaps the most damning revelation from Sophie's podcast was her explanation of how the buildup of terrible officiating over multiple seasons finally reached a breaking point during that legendary Connecticut Sun game. She decided to take matters into her own hands.